Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here. I'm Alicia, and my subject today is questioning belief systems. There seems to be a type of global restlessness plaguing humanity for centuries, and Sigmund Freud would argue that this is one of the byproducts of what he calls civilization and its discontent. I'm, however, not here to discuss Freudian ideas, yet the subject of beliefs or lack thereof is undoubtedly one of the major plight or grave dilemmas of human conflict and unhappiness. Now, a belief system, it's defined as an ideological construct or a set of principles that we humans we have created to help us to interpret the world or our everyday reality. These constructs would then manifest in our world in the form of religion and political affiliations, philosophies, spirituality, existentialism, liberalism, feminism, free thoughts, free thinking, and so forth. These beliefs, however, they don't stand alone as one idea, but they're shaped and influenced by multiple layers of other complex factors. And so, if you like this topic, down the rabbit hole we go. Now, where I want to cast the lens of this conversation specifically is when it comes to matters of faith or lack thereof. And so, how about we begin with two basic explanations of faith? Faith, you see, is seen as having complete trust or confidence in someone or something or a concept. And it also, in the context of religion, faith is a strong trust in God or in the doctrines that is more of a based on a type of spiritual implication or acceptance, if you will. By acceptance, it is inferred that proof of God is neither affirmed or denied. Yet, in order to hold such strong convictions, it is enough insofar as the mind is merely aware of what it believes. Here, faith seems to suggest that it is a conscious, subjective, personal experience. Consequently, a great example of this type of faith in action is Mother Teresa. We are told that Mother Teresa, she experienced a prolonged period of spiritual darkness and feeling of abandonment by God that lasted for almost 50 years. Mother Teresa wrote in her memoir that she was plagued by insurmountable inner turmoil. Despite her outward appearance of unwavering faith and dedication, her internal struggle with a sense of God's absence would speak of a spiritual desolation, a profound sense of emptiness and loneliness, a type of deep inner dark wilderness that literally mirrors the dark night of the soul experience as was described by St. John of the Cross. Nevertheless, some theologians and spiritual authorities would suggest that her prolonged darkness and unwavering commitment to her work, despite this inner suffering, is seen as a type of a testament to her great faith and love for God. See, Mother Teresa's perseverance through such profound spiritual anguish has inspired many of us in demonstrating that faith can persist even in the absence of that tangible, concrete spiritual consolation or comfort that we seek in the divine. I know that I went on a bit about the story of Mother Teresa, but without apology, I am so deeply moved with compassion and empathy as I can identify with sometimes feeling that thick, tangible silence of the divine. Now, on that note, here seems like a good place for me to explain what we mean when we say God. See, the concept of God is indeed one of the most complex and debated topics in human history, with a wide array of interpretations and beliefs. For many religious traditions, God is the absolute, capital T, truth, the omnipotent, the omniscient, and the omnipresent being who is the ultimate source of all existence. From this perspective, God, who is seen as the creator and sustainer of all lives, provides us with a foundation for understanding the cosmos and our place within it, hence offering us purpose and meaning, giving us a framework for ethical behavior and the basis of worship and devotion. By contrast, there are other philosophies and theological perspectives that argue that God is fundamentally unknowable. This view suggests that the divine transcends human comprehension, and that the divine exists beyond the limits of human language or human understanding. There are mystical traditions within various religions, such as Sufism in Islam and Kabbalah in Judaism, and certain strands of Hinduism and Buddhism that propose that God, or the absolute reality, is an ultimate mystery which can only be experienced directly through mystical insights such as clairvoyance or prophetic abilities or revealed knowledge or enlightenment. These traditions, they often highlight the limitations of human intellect and language in capturing that essence of the divine, and encourages practices like meditations and prayers and contemplative silence and centering prayer to approach this profound mystery that is unknowable, that is the divine. Alan Watts, he was a prominent interpreter of some of these Eastern philosophies, and he offered us a unique perspective on this subject by suggesting that the concept of God is largely a human invention. He argues that many traditional views of God are projections. They're just merely projections of human traits and desires that are shaped by the culture and psychological factors. Watts believed that humans created gods in their own image and attributed human-like characteristics to the divine to make the concept of God more relatable and understandable. Um, Now, on the more abstract end of the spectrum, there is a group of religious philosophers called agnostics. And agnosticism, they suggest that discussions about the existence of God are essentially meaningless unless there is a clear and coherent definition of God is provided first in that conversation. Agnostics, they emphasize the importance of understanding and agreeing upon the specific concept of God before even beginning a discussion. They argue that without this clarity at the substratum of the conversation, any argument for or against God's existence is futile. Basically, you tell me what your idea of God is, and I'll tell you mine. Otherwise, if this is not first established, we can be talking to each other, but having two totally different conversations. This type of perspective uh, is grounded in the philosophy of language and logic. Agnostic, they demand rigorous conceptual clarity that many theistic and atheistic arguments they believe lack. By focusing on the definition, agnostics highlight the unusual, or rather usual, ambiguous, vague, and varied interpretation of what people believe God might be. Their view challenges both believers and non-believers to they challenge them to articulate their positions with precisions to avoid unclear, obscure, hazy claims of what they believe that divine is. Now, the question is, given that we've laid down some sort of a foundation for beliefs and faith in God, why then do we believe what we believe? Let's take a deep dive into this. And as usual, this is where I want to take a moment and give a big shout out to the real troopers who are still with me in this conversation. Thanks so much for your attention, and do remember to like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate you, and I absolutely love our connections. And now, let's get into it. See, historically, beliefs are formed through a complex interplay of various factors. Factors such as culture and social influences. See, the culture that we grew up in, including our families and friends and communities and societies and traditions and norms and values, they provide these norms and values that are passed down through generations to have informed our understanding that has significantly shaped our beliefs. There's also our personal experiences. See, our experiences, they play a critical role in shaping our beliefs. Positive or negative experience with people, places, and situations can reinforce or challenge our existing beliefs. Education and knowledge, being information that we are exposed to through formal education and books and media and other sources, they too have helped shape our beliefs. Our personality traits and cognitive biases and psychological needs has also influenced our beliefs. For example, the need for certainty, belonging, and identity can lead us to adapt certain beliefs. Our emotions also can strongly affect our beliefs. For example, fear and love and hate and other emotions, they can lead us to adapt or reject certain beliefs. And sometimes it is regardless of a logical reasoning. Basically, our emotions trump logic and reasons. There's also beliefs that have been influenced by authority figures and significant others, such as our parents and teachers, religious leaders, and experts. We often trust and adopt their beliefs because we perceive them as knowledgeable or trustworthy, and of course, the authority figures. Also, many of us, our belief systems are deeply and truly rooted in our spiritual or religious upbringing, often linked to the culture or the country or geographic locations that we were born or raised in on the planet. These beliefs often provide a framework for us understanding life's purpose and moral, ethical guidelines. For example, if you were born in certain part of Asia, for example, China or certain things, your religion, your belief systems is of one. If you were born in India, your religion, your tradition, your culture is a set way. If you were born in Africa or South America or North America, your culture, your tradition, your religion is sort of set by your geographical location, your traditions, your culture, etc. Nowadays, in the modern world, we also have media and technology that also plays a significant role in shaping our beliefs. Social media, news outlets, and other online communities, they also can reinforce or challenge our beliefs through exposure to diverse perspectives. And lastly, I will say that some of our beliefs may also be influenced by our biological and evolutionary factors. For example, beliefs related to survival and reproduction and social unity can be traced back to evolutionary needs, such as needs for avoiding physical harm, for avoiding disease, for making friends, for attaining status, for acquiring a mate, for caring for a family, and so forth. I think that knowing and understanding why we believe what we believe is critical, and can help us to become more aware of our biases and allow us to be open to different perspectives and lean towards a more homogenous, inclusive society. Now, I want to talk about the roots of our beliefs. And it begins with a time of myths, metaphors, and religions of ancient beliefs. From ancient times, belief systems have played a critical role in human societies. Early civilizations, you see, such as Mesopotamia. Can I speak today? All right. So, Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley, they were deeply religious with deities and gods and myths that explained natural wonders. So, as the foundation of many religious beliefs and practice, mythology is significant as it played a major role in allowing us to understand and question the origins of belief systems. Mythology serves as a cultural framework that carries deep seated truths and values and existential questions that help us to comprehend the symbolic and ritualistic aspects of our faith, that prompts us to reevaluate most of our spiritual foundations. Myths, you see, they are used to gain, we use them to gain insight into different cultures, and they contain archetypal narratives that resonate universally, and these stories, they explore fundamental human questions about life and death and purpose and the nature of good and evil, and they also serve to explore these fundamental human questions and encourage us to reflect on our own beliefs. See, as expressions of the collective unconsciousness, as suggested by psychologist Carl Jung, who believed that myths, they provide psychological insight into the human psyche to reveal the motivations and the fears that shaped our belief systems. Through symbolic languages and metaphors, myths, you see, they help us to understand complex ideas and concepts that might be difficult for us to express literally. They challenge our assumptions, they beg for deeper contemplation and interpretation, hence leading us individually to refine our understanding of ourselves and the world at large. In religious and spiritual In the religious and spiritual context, mythology often forms the basis for many religious systems, many belief systems. Therefore, understanding the mythological origins of religious narratives, a person would have to be able to discern a call to the awakening, a come to Jesus moment to allow for a deeper contemplation. This, however, is a bit difficult, and it may produce a sense of discomfort in that the individual have to literally become blasphemous, heretic, to challenge some of the assumptions and biases that they have inherited by their belief systems indoctrination. See, religious texts like the Bible is not merely a book, but rather a library. The Bible is a library, a collection of various metaphoric, symbolic writings, histories, poems, prophecies, and laws, which sometimes borders on the realms of the mythological, otherworldly awes, of which have been, of course, sifted through many layers of interpretation, through many languages at different epochs, and were composed over centuries. The canonization process of the Bible was quite complex and often contentious, leading scholars to include and exclude or alter many texts. For instance, some books might have been omitted due to doctrinal disagreements, while others were lost to time or modified during translation and transcription. This historical context, I think, of the Bible as a spiritual doctrine adds layers of complexity to interpreting these texts as sources of absolute truth. There is no doubt that absolute truth resides within these sacred texts or doctrines. However, there is also major fault and errors within these very texts. So we have to approach sacred doctrine and sacred texts with much discernment and with that divine eyes to know what is and how to extrapolate divine truth. For this reason, many would argue that absolute objective truth transcends the capacities of language and human intellectual faculties and earthly instruments. Such truth, if it exists, many would argue, requires revelation through direct spiritual experiences or divine intervention that bypasses conventional means of knowledge. This perspective, it suggests that the ultimate truth emerges, it arises, and it comes to light as a type of spiritual revelation and deep insight that is usually fostered by intimacy with the omnipresent Spirit of Christ. Believers can experience this both subjectively and collectively, suggesting that such profound truth defies universal articulation through science and other human construct. This view underscores the limitations of human understanding and the need for spiritual communion to have that Christ consciousness embodied within us in order for us to grasp the infallible, the indescribable, the unknowable greatness of the Supreme. Now, out of this mythological era came the rise of organized religion. See, with the dawn of major world religions like Hinduism and Buddhism and Judaism and Christianity and Islam, belief systems, they became more organized and codified. These religions, they offered more comprehensive doctrines and rituals and more and moral ethical guidelines that profoundly influenced societies and cultures. The medieval period, particularly in Europe, was dominated by the Christian church, which held significant powers over political and social lives. Organized religions, they established these sacred texts, such as the Vedas in Hinduism and the Torahs in Judaism, and the canonizing of the Bible in Christianity, and of course the Quran in Islam. These texts, they provided a foundation for these religious indoctrinations to take place. The development of organized religion, you see, also led to establishment of religious institutions such as temples and churches and mosques, which became the center of the community life. Religious leaders, including priests and monks and rabbis and imams, they played a key role in guiding and shaping the beliefs and behaviors of their followers. Then, out of that organized religious movement came the Reformation. There were Protestant Reformation in the 16th century, and that marked a significant shift. These Reformations, they challenged the authority of the Catholic Church. The Reformation, initiated by figures like Martin Luther and John Calvin, they sought to reform the doctrines of the Catholic Church, which was perceived as corrupt and out of touch with the needs of the people. Consequently, this fragmentation of Christianity into multiple denominations led to the increased religious diversity and competition. This period was followed by the Enlightenment, which was an intellectual movement in the 17th and 18th century of the that advocated for a separation of church and state and the pursuit of knowledge through empirical evidence. The Enlightenment, it kind of further eroded the authority of the church by promoting critical thinking and skepticism and the scientific method. Philosophers such as John Locke and Voltaire and Immanuel Kant, they championed the idea that reason could lead to progress and enlightenment, rather than this type of Christ consciousness and prophetic unction and a different form of spiritual enlightenment. Rene Descartes was another prominent figure of the Enlightenment age, and he famously declared that I think, therefore I am. And I think many of you are probably familiar with this quotation. I think, therefore I am. He emphasized the importance of doubt and critical thinking. Hence, the rise of the ego began. And in this era, these thinkers, they attributed a type of godlike omniscience to the human mind. And as of today, the ego still reigns. Descartes' method of questioning all beliefs to establish a foundation of certainty is a bit questionable, because one would argue, what exactly is a foundation, the foundation of certainty? What exactly is objective truth and absolute truth? Can we know something that we have never known? Can we search for evidence of certainty at the mercies of our five senses? Can we seek out the intangible by using instruments of tangible? Could it be that we are limited in our humanity to measure the divine with such tools? Perhaps the very premise of this reasoning is flawed. You think about that. Now, the age of reason and science started to lay the groundwork for the modern age of advancement in science and technology that have provided multiple explanations for the wonders that were once attributed to the divine or to divine intervention. And because of this, science has fueled the decline in the influence of the traditional religious belief, and the increase of secularism was on the rise. The scientific revolution, for example, with figures like Galileo and Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin, they transformed our understanding of the natural world. The theory of evolution, for instance, challenged the biblical accounts of creation, while cosmology provided a scientific explanation for the origin of the universe. And then out of this came secularization. You see, secularization refers to the process by which religion loses its influence over various spheres of life, including political, educational, and public policies. In the Western countries, or in many Western countries, secularization has led to a decline in the church attendance and religious affiliations. According to a recent survey that I was looking at, there's a growing number of people that now identify themselves as nuns. Okay, NONES, however you want to say this, whether it's nuns. More than one, according to the survey, more than 1 in 4 American adults, they identify themselves as religious nuns, meaning they consider themselves to be in the category of either atheist, agnostic, or just nothing in particular, meaning they do not affiliate with any particular religion at all. The separation of church and state is now enshrined in so many modern constitutions, and it has diminished the political power of religious institutions. Secular education systems have replaced religious instructions with scientific and humanistic curriculums. The rise of secular values such as individualism, human rights, and democracy has further marginalized the role of religion in public life. And as a result, many people now find meaning and purpose outside of traditional religious framework, turning instead to secular philosophies and personal spiritualities or ethical humanism. Now, to counter the limits of reason right at the dawn of secularization, the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche declared that God is dead. Nietzsche argued that the decline of religious faith would lead to a crisis of meaning and value, and a lack of moral compass. He believed that the rise of secularism eroded the foundation of traditional morality, and individuals were now left to create their own values and purpose in the absence of divine authority. And they would have to navigate in a world without the certainty and guidance that was previously provided by the established doctrines of the church. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power would emphasize the importance of self-overcoming and the pursuit of excellence. He challenged us to create new values and to find meaning in the way that is authentic and that would resonate with our contemporary life. This existential perspective encourages individuals to embrace their freedom while owning up to their personal responsibility and the need for them to individually find meaning through their own experiences, their own actions, and the choices that they would take. Bear in mind that this is no small feat, for sometimes the enemy can be the inner me. Personal responsibilities requires a willingness to engage in self-reflection and take proactive steps towards personal growth and development. It takes for the courage to look at the man in the mirror and see what type of person you are, and then to address your own shortcomings and to actively work on improving yourself. By taking that type of ownership on your own actions and your own attitudes and your own decisions, we can foster a greater sense of agency and resilience in the face of our life's challenges. See, this idea of finding meaning and resilience in the face of life challenges was brilliantly yet brutally described in Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. It's absolutely great, great read. It's a very small book, and it's a fast, quick read. This book is a profound psychological memoir of and philosophical, I will say, philosophical exploration of finding purpose in life. See, Viktor Frankl, he was a psychiatrist and a Holocaust survivor, and he reflected on his experiences in Nazi concentration camp and how they shaped his understanding of human resilience and meaning. He emphasized in his book how prisoners who found meaning in their suffering were more likely to survive. Frankl observed that those who had a purpose, whether it was to reunite with loved ones or to complete unfinished work, they were able to endure unimaginable hardship. Frankl introduced his psychotherapeutical method called logotherapy, which is based on the belief that the primary drive in human beings is not pleasure or power, but rather the pursuit of what he calls meaning. See, logotherapy, it focuses on helping individuals to find meaning in their life, even in the face of dire suffering, by identifying their own personal and inner values and goals that are personally significant and deeply rooted and seated in their own being and their own consciousness. Now, despite the decline of traditional religious beliefs, many individuals now, to this date, they still believe in the existence of a higher power or divine source, as many would call. See, this type of belief, it provides a sense of meaning and purpose, as well as a framework for us to understand the mysteries of existence. This type of belief in a higher power or the divine source is, it's not necessarily tied to any organized religion, but it can be a personal and spiritual conviction. This belief in a higher power or divine source can take the form from the form of theistic conceptions of God, or to a more abstract notion of the universal consciousness or cosmic energy. For many people, the idea of the divine source, it offers a sense of connection to a greater whole, fostering feelings of awe and wonder and reverence. It can also provide, in the face of life challenges and uncertainty, offer that sense of stability and continuity and continuity. Hence the reason the belief in the existence of a higher power or divine source is absolutely necessary even in today's date. However, there's always the contrary, that there are still modern trends of questioning and skepticism that has left individuals searching for truth in a very fragmented and relativistic world, meaning that truth and right or wrong can only be judged in relation to other things. This is the relativistic ideology. Um, the challenge here, of course, is to find that balance between critical thinking and the need for meaning and purpose. This, of course, requires, again, a willingness to explore diverse perspectives and to engage in conscious self discovery. Embracing uncertainty and ambiguity, again, can I speak? See, embracing that uncertainty and the ambiguity of what should we believe in and why do we believe in what we believe and how can we be certain that what we believe is what we should be believing. This is very critical, and there has to be a need for acceptance that some questions may not have definitive answers. And this can be liberating and can open us up to newer possibilities of personal growth and understanding. The purpose of life, I like to say, is to live. See, this journey towards truth is often more about the process of exploration. It's more about the process of exploration and discovery than arriving at a final destination. The poet Rumi uses a phrase that what we are seeking is seeking us. It suggests that there is a profound connection between our deepest desire and the universal source, the divine, or God, if we will say, that somehow, even in the simplest experiences of life, it is possible to discover and to remember the divine that we truly are innately. See, the loss of traditional belief systems, it can have both positive and negative consequences on our mental health and overall well-being. On the one hand, individuals may experience a sense of liberation and intellectual freedom when they question or even abandon religious doctrines that no longer resonates with them or with the times that we live in. While on the other hand, the absence of a belief system can lead one to feelings of existential turmoil and uncertainty and isolation. The search for meaning and purpose in a secular world can be challenging, and some individuals may struggle to find a sense of belonging and direction. The loss of community and social support that was provided by religious institutions can lead to feeling of isolation and disconnection, which increases anxiety and depression. Belief systems, or faith as some would call it, it offers coping mechanism for dealing with stress and anxieties and grief. Studies have shown that individuals with strong religious or spiritual beliefs, they often experience better mental health outcomes, including reducing of stress and anxiety, lower anxiety levels, anxiety lowers and lower levels of depression and higher levels of life satisfactions. These studies have also shown that individuals with strong religious or spiritual beliefs, they not only experience better mental health outcome, but they also have a more fulfilled life. And now, in the recent past, virtual social connections have become a norm in the absence of community and connections that were provided by the church. because the need for community and connection is very critical. For humans are inherently social beings. We are inherently social beings, and we need that sense of belonging. It is essential for our mental and emotional well-being. Therefore, building supportive communities and fostering meaningful connections can help us to navigate the uncertainty of a secular world, and for us to find a sense of purpose and fulfillment. This can involve us seeking out like minded individuals, um, participating in community activities, and fostering relationships based on mutual supports and understanding. And this, of course, I'm talking about exploring the virtual world and social media, etc. My final thoughts. See, the question of belief system, it is a very complex and multifaceted endeavor. And we have not even scratched the surface of this in this conversation yet. However, we've gotten a little taste of it. See, belief systems, they have been shaped by historical and cultural and philosophical influences. From ancient mythological to modern secularism, humans have sought to understand. We have sought to understand the nature of existence and our place in the universe, whether rooted in religious traditions or through personal experiences or philosophies. Um, our beliefs, they definitely influence our understanding of the world and our place within it. While there are modern trends of secularization, this trend has promised to fill the deep emptiness of humanity by presenting financial wealth and material possessions as the measure of success and fulfillment, words formerly associated with the term being blessed. This focus on materialism has detracted from spiritual and religious pursuit and ultimately have become the personal priorities in individuals' lives. However, on the flip side, this relentless pursuit of wealth and status is deceptive, as it can eventually create a sense of emptiness and dissatisfaction, prompting individuals to seek meaning and purpose beyond material possessions. There seems to be this cycle. The Dalai Lama, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, the Dalai Lama said, mankind. Because mankind, they sacrifice their health in order to make money. And then they turn around and sacrifice their money to recuperate their health. Consumer culture promotes the idea that happiness and success can be achieved through the attainment of goods and material success. And we all know now that this is one big fat lie. The belief in a divine source can offer us comfort and hope and a framework for us understanding life's challenges. It can also inspire kindness and compassion and altruism. We can be more altruistic, be more empathetic towards each other and towards the earth and just life and ourselves. For many, divine source is seen as the ultimate reality or truth, transcending human limitations and offering us a glimpse of the infinite and the eternal. See, every decision that we make, it starts with a belief. Understanding where that beliefs come from is very critical. And we must know that we base all our decisions on what we know to be true, or what we believe, or what we have been told to believe through socialization, sometimes and indoctrinations. Sometimes, however, we do believe some things that isn't true, both intellectually and emotionally. Our beliefs, they influence our behavior when facts and reason alone don't. Basically, that's saying some things we just believe and we just know, but we don't know why we believe or why we even know. But we know that we know that we know. And it's imperative that we observe that we become really conscious of that we reflect upon that. We take a deep dive into that and into ourselves. We may never arrive at the ultimate destination, but as I've said earlier, it is the process that brings the empowerment. Knowing that in the absence of beliefs or the inability to tap into them, people feel disempowered. Beliefs empower us by giving us that unshakable resolve, giving us hope, which is the quintessential essence of humans. Beliefs is what animates our ability to respond to any situations with extraordinary toughness and tenacity and determination. Moreover, beliefs have the functions of guiding our behavior. In conclusion, questioning belief systems and faith is a complex feat, and the journey towards absolute truths requires a balance of critical thinking, open-mindedness, and the willingness to explore diverse perspective. Engaging in this quest reflects the depths of our humanity, embodying our eternal search for meaning and connections. There is that word, it's an eternal search. It is through this act of questioning, of seeking, that we uncover deeper truth about ourselves and about our world, and ultimately what we seek about the divine. This journey demands courage, the courage to challenge long held beliefs and indoctrination, to embrace uncertainty, and to remain open to the vast spectrum of human experience. There is a collective consciousness, a collective evolution of consciousness that we also need to embrace and to tap into. As we traverse this path, we have to learn that wisdom often resides in the space beyond certainty and doubt. It is in these moments of contemplation and introspection that we find the seeds of personal and collective transformation. The diverse perspectives we encounter along the way, it enriches our understanding. It fosters empathy and a greater appreciation for the rich tapestry of human beliefs and experience. Whether through the rituals of traditional faith or the solitary reflections of our personal spirituality, the pursuits of meaning and purpose is a universal endeavor that unites us all. It calls us to live with greater intentions, to seek out connection that transcends the mundane, and to embrace the profound mystery of existence. Ultimately, the journey towards truth and understanding is a lifelong adventure, one that continually shapes and reshapes us. It inspires us to live with authenticity, to approach life with a sense of awe and wonder, and to cultivate a deep, abiding respect for the diverse expressions of faith and belief that enriches our world. In this shared journey, we find not only ourselves, but also a profound connection to the greater whole. And this is all that I have for you today. Thanks so very much for your attention. Until next time, be well.